Who does the president think knows best for students? School board members or parents?
Well, the president believes that public health officials have the best guidance on what we can all do to protect ourselves, including teachers, administrators, and students.
Jen Psaki today claiming that the ever-changing, highly politicized guidance of U.S. health officials should take precedence over your children's well-being, over that of you. It's National School Choice Week, and we're following it right here on the Chris Salcedo Show. Joining me now, radio talk show host Mary Walter and CEO of the Freedom Foundation, Aaron Withe. Welcome to you both. Aaron, we begin with you. Biden's administration, particularly the Merrick Garland folks in his Injustice Department, have made it clear that parents are the enemy here, even asking the NSBA to call parents domestic terrorists. Then there's this from an educrat in Pennsylvania. School board member tells parents, quote, "I don't work for you." He goes on to claim that he thinks some parents and community members, quote, "have the collective intelligence of a village idiot," end quote. Now, in my opinion, if they don't want my input as a parent, fine, but they don't need my taxpayer money either. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. That's why school choice this year is more important than ever, because parents over the past 2 years have seen firsthand what is going on in the classroom, what their kids are getting taught in schools, which is why school choice is so important. If public schools are failing our children, parents need to have the ability to take our kids out of those schools, put them in charter schools or put them in private schools, and those tax dollars should follow them. The problem is in liberal states, and frankly, the Biden administration right now have been funded by teachers' unions, which rely on the growth of public schools. And they're not going to give up this power without a fight, which is why they're flexing their political muscle in the Biden administration. That's why educating teachers across the country of their rights to opt out of their unions and stop funding their radical leftist agenda, which doesn't benefit kids, is so important right now.
And Mary, in Oakland, California, teachers, thousands of teachers are threatening to strike over China virus safety protocols, they say. Parents felt the current COVID measures were enough for their kids and for teachers, and were concerned their children were being left behind academically. Then L.A. County charter school students are filing a lawsuit to stop the unconstitutional segregation of vaccinated and unvaccinated students, if you can believe we're dealing with this. It just goes from bad to worse inside of GovEd. Hasn't parental school choice, hasn't its time come?
Oh, absolutely. And it's good to see national Republicans following Glenn Youngkin's lead. This is a winning argument for Republicans. There's actually a group of Republicans that are crafting a parents' bill of rights. And what they want to do is legislate schools being transparent about money, where money is going. Where did all the money go that we spent billions of dollars to retrofit these schools and meet all the teachers' demands with air filtration systems and desks being so far apart and all this other stuff that had to be done before they would go back to the classroom? Where did that money go? So this would demand transparency and legislate that they'd have to show transparency in not just funding, but also curriculum. But I think Republicans are making a mistake here, and I'll tell you why. This is so easy, and the point has already been made, but this is so easy. Just have the money follow the child. Fund the student, not the school. And if you do that, you don't need to legislate a darn thing, because the competition will have these schools shaping up because they're going to have to vie for the money. They're actually going to have to fight for the money. So to me, it's a super simple response to all of this. And I hope Republicans do it. I really do. This is a winning issue for them.
Yeah, when I agreed to back government education, I wanted to educate the children. I didn't want it to go to a failed government institution. And Aaron, if GovEd was so great, what would any of these educrats have to fear from parental choice? I mean, if it's that great, then people would just say, well, gee, let me just make out my voucher and I'll give it right to GovEd. But the truth is that these unions, these left-wingers, these big government nannies, they know their government education system sucks and is failing our children, so that their only recourse is to use force of government to keep our kids failing. Am I wrong?
The only reason that public schools are a thing today is because they've created a monopoly on public education by not allowing school choice. You're exactly right. If parents actually had the choice to choose between a failing government school and a charter school that's delivering a superior education, of course they're going to pick that school, which is why the government unions, the teachers unions, are not going to allow this to happen. And that's why it's so important today that parents realize just how big of an issue this is. My wife is a public school teacher. They just went back to remote learning. And these kids' education is totally failing compared to charter schools, compared to private schools. And it's not because they have bad teachers like my wife and like millions of other teachers out there. It's because the teachers unions are flexing this political muscle to do things that are frankly just against our kids' education. Guess what? Remote learning doesn't work. COVID isn't killing our kids, but the teachers unions are certainly killing any chances of our kids getting educated in public schools.
Mary, in my mind, this is the civil rights issue of our day. Parents being able to educate their children, regardless of their skin color, properly inside of an institution of the parents' choice, not of government's choice. You mentioned the Republicans putting out the Bill of Rights, but there are some Republicans on the state level and the federal level who refuse to back school choice. In your opinion, do you believe that any politician should be elected to any office if they do not back parental school choice?
No, of course not. Absolutely not. And it makes me wonder who's donating to their campaigns. How much money are they getting from teachers unions? And I will say this, to your point, first of all, Chris, that is a really smart point. This is, again, the subtle racism of the left, keeping minorities in these horrible inner city schools where their kids learn nothing and they are not getting a good education that they should be getting. So that's the first thing. And I think they would jump at the chance. But the teachers aren't smart because this is going to drive up wages. The good teachers will be able to get a job anywhere at a charter school. And these schools, because they're going to be getting more money, the more money they get in, the more they can pay the teachers. So ultimately, the teachers would wind up benefiting from this. So this is something that I think if they're smart, they'll get behind and buck the union, which is something that I think needs to happen. And I think it's starting to happen, too, because of the good teachers like Aaron's wife.
Could not agree more. And as a matter of fact, to all you teachers out there, you'll become an instantaneous commodity, and you're not going to have to give these ineffective unions, these thug union folks, that kind of money. Aaron Withe and Mary Walter, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. When we come back, Jen Psaki forgets who her boss is, or did she? It's Chris Salcedo Show on Newsmax.